Section 21-4, Amendments to Designated Historic Properties and Historic Districts. A. Purpose. The standards of this section are intended to allow for amendments to designated historic properties and historic districts, such as the ongoing identification of contributing resources, the inclusion of area character appraisals and other similar documentation that add to the significance of the designation of the historic property or district, and the addition of properties to designated historic districts. The criteria and procedures in this section are to be used by the Commission to review, consider, and make recommendations regarding such applications and for the County Council to approve or deny the same. B. Applicability. Applications to amend historic properties or historic districts within the unincorporated area of Charleston County may be submitted pursuant to the process and requirements contained in this section. C. Pre-application conference. Before submitting an application, the property owner or applicant shall confer with the Historic Preservation Officer to discuss the proposal and the applicable review and approval procedures. D. Application filing. Applications shall be submitted to the Historic Preservation Officer on forms provided by Charleston County. Application shall comply with Section 21-2.e, application completeness and submission deadlines of this ordinance. Applications must include the required fee and the following information. 1. Completed application forms signed by the owners of the subject properties. 2. A list of all proposed contributing resources, including the name of each resource, the type of each resource, building, object, site, or structure, the location/address of each resource, and the parcel identification number of the properties on which the resource is located. 3. The inclusion of area character appraisals and other similar documentation that add to the significance of the designation of the historic property or historic district. 4. Photos of proposed contributing resources. 5. A statement indicating how each proposed contributing resource meets the approval criteria found in Section 21-4.h. 6. Additional signatures of support, optional. And 7. Additional information as determined necessary by the Historic Preservation Officer. E. Historic Preservation Officer Review and Report. The Historic Preservation Officer shall review the application pursuant to the approval criteria of Section 21-4.h approval criteria of this ordinance and refer the application to other departments or entities as necessary. The Historic Preservation Officer shall provide a report to the Commission. F. Historic Preservation Commission Review and Recommendation. The Commission shall review the application at a meeting open to the public and adopt a resolution by majority vote of the entire membership recommending that the County Council approve or deny the application based on the approval criteria of Section 21-4.h approval criteria of this ordinance. When approving an application, the Commission shall list the contributing resources and may identify any other documentation that supports the application as applicable. The Commission shall not recommend approval with conditions. Newspaper, community interest, neighbor, and parties in interest notice of the Commission meeting shall be provided in accordance with the requirements of Section 21-7 notices of this ordinance. G. County Council hearing. After receiving the recommendation of the Commission, the County Council shall approve or deny the application based on the approval criteria of Section 21-4.h approval criteria of this ordinance. Application shall not be approved with conditions. The County Council shall hold a public hearing prior to giving second reading to the application. Newspaper, community interest, neighbor, and parties in interest notice of the public hearing shall be provided in accordance with the requirements of Section 21-7 notices of this ordinance. H. Approval criteria. 1. In order to approve an application to identify contributing resources, all of the following criteria must be met. A. The resource is located within a designated historic district or on a designated historic property. B. The resource contributes to the historic associations, historic architectural qualities, or archaeological values for which the designated historic property or historic district is significant. And C, the resource retains enough of its historic physical features to convey its significance as part of the designated historic property or historic district. 2. In order to approve an application for an area character appraisal study or any other documentation that supports the application, all of the following approval criteria must be met. A, the documentation refers to the historic property or historic district. B, the documentation contributes to the reason/significance of the designation. And C, the documentation was verified by an appropriate third-party professional as determined by the Historic Preservation Officer. 3. In order to approve an application to add a property or properties to a designated historic district, the subject property must meet one or more of the following criteria. A, has significant inherent character, interest, history, or value as part of the rural county or heritage of the county, state, or nation. B, is of an event significant in history. C, is associated with a person or persons who contributed significantly to the culture and development of the county, state, or nation. D, exemplifies the cultural, political, economic, social, ethnic, or historic heritage of the county, state, or nation. E, individually or collectively embodies distinguishing characteristics of a type, style, or period in architecture or engineering. F, is the work of a designer whose work has significantly influenced the development of the county, state, or nation. G, contains elements of design, detail, materials, or craftsmanship which represent a significant innovation. H, is part of or related to a square or other distinctive element of community planning. I, represents an established and familiar visual feature of the neighborhood or community. J, has yielded or may be likely to yield information important in prehistory or history, potential archaeological site. Or K, is deemed eligible for or already listed on the NRHP. I, final action. Applications to amend historic properties or historic districts within the unincorporated area of Charleston County may be submitted pursuant to the process and requirements contained in this section. J, notice of decision. Following final action by the County Council, the Historic Preservation Officer shall be responsible for providing the applicant and property owner with written notice of the decision.